Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, and today is the start of my OWLS readathon vlog. If you missed my TBR video, you might not know that I am going for the career of healer. I thought that was most suited to me because I am a nurse in real life. I finished one book. The book I finished is Exile by Shannon Messenger. I've used this for the arithmancy subject, which was one of the free subjects I got to choose. I thought this would be a good one because the prompt for this was to choose a book outside your usual reading genre, and this book is a middle grade book. It is the second book in the series and I really enjoyed it. I did give it 2.75 stars. I went into this book having it been described to me sort of like Harry Potter. So we're following this girl called Sophie who's grown up in the human world. She finds out that she's not human, but instead of a wizard, she finds out she's an elf, and then she gets taken to the elven world and she lives there. That's kind of the premise of the first book. I can't really say too much of what the second book is about because it's the second book, but I wasn't a huge fan of the plot in the second book. It was kind of really messy and all over the place. It was kind of a subplot as well. Like, it didn't really feel like a lot was contributing to the overarching plot that's going to play out throughout the entire series. Something I really love about this series, and my favorite middle grade series always do this, is that with each book the character does age up. And I've also almost finished another audiobook, which is Infinity Blade Awakening by Brandon Sanderson. This is a short story. I was originally going to use this for herbology because I thought the prompt was to read a book that started with I, but I read the font incorrectly. So thank you to everyone who corrected me in my TBR video and said that it was not an I, it's actually an M. So I'm going to have to find another book to fit this prompt, but I will still use Infinity Blade for potions, which is to read a book under 150 pages. If you're not familiar with my channel or my taste in reading, you might not know, but I am a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. That's why I picked this book up. I'm not typically a short story fan because I definitely prefer longer books. I really prefer depth to my stories, but he does a really great job. Now, Infinity Blade, we are following this man who has been raised his whole life to go off and battle this god king and be a sacrifice for the god king. His entire family line, this is how things have worked. His father, his grandfather, and all of them before him were raised the same way as him and went to go fight the god king and died. Now we follow this man, and it's just after he's gone to fight the god king, and guess what? He won. He defeated the god king. Now he's returned back to his village and everyone is really shocked and scared. They were expecting him to be the sacrifice, and he's now like exiled from his village. Now he's traveling across the land and he's sort of trying to find his purpose in life because his entire purpose was to be a sacrifice. He's also trying to figure out why him, why him and why his father and those before them, why were they selected to be sacrifices. That's all I'm going to say. It's kind of hard to say too much because it's a short story. I can tell you the whole thing in 2 seconds, you know what I mean? I can already tell that I'm going to be disappointed. This isn't a full-length novel. Like, I have a lot of questions. My plan today is to finish Infinity Blade, and then I'm hoping to start Traitor's Blade by Sebastian D. Castell, which is on my TBR for Charms. So I finished Infinity Blade, and I don't know why I'm surprised that I loved it as much as I did, but I'm kind of surprised. I thought that the rating I was going to give this was going to be 4 stars at the highest. It was probably sitting at about a 3.5, 3.75 most of the time I was reading this. But the ending. I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised because I always go on about how much I love Brandon Sanderson, and I literally said in my previous clip how I don't really usually gel very well with short stories, but I have really enjoyed Sanderson's short stories from what I've read of them. And this was no exception. I thought I wouldn't love it as much as his other ones because I do know this is part of his earlier works. So he wrote this pretty early on in his career. I can't even talk. This is what his books do to me. They make me speechless because I'm just so blown away. I really like how unpredictable the story is. I talk about this a lot, but I really love unpredictability, and these stories are definitely unpredictable. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for that one, if you cannot tell already. And I'm going to continue on with Infinity Blade. What's the second book called? It's Infinity Blade Awakening, the first one. Infinity Blade Redemption? I don't know, but the second short story, and I'm kind of sad because then that's it. But if you are on the hunt for a short story, particularly one for readathon to kind of help you, you know, conquer a prompt quite quickly, I really highly recommend this. I don't have anything really to report on the, what was the other book I was reading? Trader's Blade. I only read like the first 30 pages, and we're just going through the main character's backstory with his hometown and his father and kind of how he became a greatcoat. So the greatcoat is the King's Guard and essentially like what the Three Musketeers were. Okay, so I'm currently 140 pages into Trader's Blade, and I thought I'd talk about it now before I dive back in. We are following this man called Felkio, who is the leader of the Greycoats. I believe I've been describing this book as like the Greycoats being the King's Knight, and they are that, but there was a little bit of a description of the differences between knights and greycoats, because apparently the greycoats aren't necessarily knights. Like it said that they don't wear armor, that they wear coats, but I mean on the cover it looks like this guy's wearing armor and a coat. So it says knights are absolutely honorable and prize their honor above all things. Greycoats, on the other hand, value justice and tend to have a difficult time understanding how theft, rape, and murder all suddenly become honorable pursuits just because a man you swore an oath to asked you to commit them. That's kind of the distinction they made. I guess what it comes down to is their values are a little bit different to knights. Like they will always do what is right, whereas knights are loyal to whoever they serve. These greycoats did serve the king, but the king is dead. So since the king's death, they've been working as mercenaries of a kind and being hired by noblemen. And at the very beginning of this book, the nobleman they are working for is murdered, and he's murdered by this woman who must be some sort of sorceress, because right after the murder happened, Felkio and his two other greycoats that work under him found the woman covered in blood. She bewitched them, so they don't remember her details. That's kind of one narrative, and then we're kind of following this second narrative where we're jumping around timelines from when Felkio was a small child and him first learning about the Greycoats and what they were, and deciding that he wants to grow up and be a Greycoat. We also learn about his wife. This is something I really didn't like. It was in one of the really early chapters. It was just after page 50, but we learn about his wife, and his wife is raped and murdered. We get one chapter talking about that, and the entire time it's all about Felkio and how what happened to his wife impacted him. Like we don't get anything about how his wife feels. It's very brushed off in her dialogue, what happened to her. What happened to his wife was used to give his character a strong sense of justice. And I am just so sick of that happening. It's just so limiting. You know, fantasy is supposed to be this genre where it's full of possibilities, but I'm consistently reading books by white male authors where females are treated this way, and I'm just so sick of it. And the thing is, it always happens at the beginning of the book, and it just leaves this really like sour taste in my mouth, and it makes me reluctant to continue on. I feel like I can assume how he's going to treat his other female characters, and I just don't want to stick around for it. There's another female that's being introduced now who's a princess, and I'm liking more of her characterization, so we'll see how that goes. But to be completely honest with you, I'm really confused by the narrative because it's jumping around a lot. I want to say it's 2 timelines, but it's kind of more, because we're getting this one timeline where, you know, this murders happen and they're trying to find the actual murderer and clear their names. So that's kind of what's going on there. That's kind of like the main present narrative, I guess. I can tell how confused I am by this book by how poorly I'm explaining it. Okay, in lighter news, I did start listening to the audiobook for Infinity Blade Awakening, which is the sequel to the first Infinity Blade that I listened to. I'm a little bit lost in the context of where we are at the moment, but I think it's going to be explained soon. I'm only like 20 minutes into the audiobook. I'm enjoying it. I have a lot of faith in Sanderson, so I think I'll like it. So I finished Trader's Blade, and I don't even know how to talk about this book, because let me get comfy. Oh, that's fine. I don't even know how to talk about this. Okay, so my first issue with this book was kind of like I was saying, the narrative. I didn't like how it was told. It's very conversational, that's how I would describe it. I also didn't like how for the first half of the book the timeline was all over the place. I said in my previous clip that the very first chapter is the Greycoats working for this nobleman, and that nobleman is murdered by this woman, and I thought it was going to be this kind of quest that was going to be the plot to hunt down the murderer of the nobleman. But that's not the case. The lady who murdered the nobleman does come into play later, but they never really are on a quest to hunt her down, sorry. So I was kind of a little bit confused by that because I felt like it was setting up the plot. And I also said that because of that nobleman's murder that they were blamed for the murder and that's why they're called traitors, but that's actually not the case. The reason they're called traitors is because the king who established them and the king they worked under, he was killed and known as a traitor, and so then by default the Greycoats who worked under him are known as traitors. My other huge issue was what I touched on earlier, was the use of rape of this. There is multiple instances in this book where rape is used as a plot device. It's used as a device for character development. I'm so sick of seeing that done in books, in fantasy books in particular. Even trying to look past that, I had issues with the narrative, like I was saying. I wasn't enjoying the story either. I thought it was boring. I didn't think there was much world development. I really didn't get a single thing out of the story, and I don't have a good thing to say about this, but I'm clearly in the minority because I've been looking up Goodreads reviews and people love this book. There are so many good reviews. It's got like a 4.7 rating on Goodreads, so I don't know. I've almost finished the audiobook for Infinity Blade Redemption. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm halfway through it and I'm listening to it on 2 times speed, so I've only got about another 2 hours left, so I'm gonna get it done very soon. So I need to choose another audiobook. I'm really in the mood for like trashy YA that's like really easy to read, you know, something that you can smash out in a day. I hate calling books trashy because it just really talks them down, and like, yes, they're not good solid literature, but they are fun, they are comforting, and that's what I really need right now, especially with this. This was not a fun read for me. Like, I didn't enjoy that at all. So I've got my laptop here and I'm looking at audiobooks that I can get. So I'm looking at Jennifer L. Armentrout books. The Alien series was really popular when I was in high school. She had this other series which was based off, I think it was the Greek gods, and we follow a demigod, and it's like a demigod school. I can remember me and my best friend in high school always having this debate about which one was better, the Alien series or the demigod series, and I always thought the demigod series was better because I loved it and it gave me such Vampire Academy vibes, and I loved Vampire Academy. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on that whole tangent. She's got a bunch of new books that I haven't read any of them. I was eyeing Storm and Fury. Oh my god, okay, I'm just reading the blurb for it, and it says 18-year-old Trinity Merrow may be going blind, but she can see and communicates with ghosts and spirits. I've been like in the biggest mood recently to read books about ghosts because I finished Chain of Gold, and one of the main characters in Chain of Gold is, well, he's not one of the main characters, but one of the characters in Chain of Gold is Jesse Blackthorne, and it's not a spoiler, you know going into the book he's a ghost, and I just loved him and like the angst and kind of the potential romance between one of the other characters. I mean, even if there's a romance, you know they're not in game because he's dead, but I just love it, and so I want more like ghost stories. Like, there's not enough, but I might save that because I'm thinking of doing a vlog where I try and find books about ghosts, so I'll add that to that list. Or she has this one it's called White Hot Kiss, and the cover is shocking. But what intrigues me is the series is called the Dark Elemental series, and I really love elemental magic. What does it mean when the title of the book is just as shocking as the cover? Okay, so we have a 17-year-old girl, Layla, who wants to be normal, but a kiss that kills anything with a soul. So she's half demon, half gargoyle. I have some questions. I'm actually really tempted to read this, however I don't think it's going to fit into any of the prompts. That's my one problem, so let's suss out what prompts I can use. So I think what I might do is I'm going to try and use the divination prompt, which is the third eye. So I hope this isn't considering cheating, but let's select 6 books I think that I'm interested in reading, and then I would do a random number generator.
so it took me a really long time to decide what books I wanted to use. So this is White Hot Kids, the first book I was telling you about. Look, that cover is so much nicer. I'll show you the cover that I was looking at before. Look at that cover. It's awful. Okay, let's go back to the other one. That's option 1, so that's a paranormal romance. And then the second option I have is Ranger's Oath. This is not paranormal fantasy, it seems more to be like a fantasy, but I was like first really intrigued by the cover. I mean, look how stunning that is. Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be a fantasy romance. And I love fantasy when they start off in a small village and then like the world kind of expands. Look at this. It's suitable for fans of Sabah Tahir, Sarah J Maas, and Brandon Sanderson. Then we have Bridge Kingdom. I love this cover. So yeah, it's about a girl who was raised as a princess and she's secretly a spy. So she gets married off, and I think it's about her trying to take down the kingdom that she marries into. And then the next one is The Alchemists of Loom. Now I've heard a lot of things about Elise Cover. I wanted to read her books for a while. Okay, so we have a Dragon King, kind of a steampunk scenery, and we have a thief. I'm really down for that. And then we have Nice Dragons Finished Love. This is a fantasy about shape-shifting dragons. Okay, and the last book I have is A Promise of Fire. Now I'm going to go to my random number generator. Whatever comes up will be my next audiobook. Ready? 2. So 2 is Ranger's Oath. So this is going to be my next audiobook.
Okay, so I have some updates for you guys. I finished the audiobook for Infinity Blade Redemption, which is the sequel to Infinity Blade Awakening. I'm not using Redemption for a prompt because it doesn't fit any, but I thought I'd mention it because I have talked about book 1 in this vlog. I heard and enjoyed the first book significantly more than the second book, mostly because the second book goes in a direction I did not see coming at all. It's still good, it's just like one of those things that happens where it's going to be to your taste or not to your taste, and unfortunately it wasn't to my taste. I gave it 3 stars, which is still a really good rating, and I still really enjoyed it. But anyway, Ranger's Oath. I really enjoyed this. All I wanted was like a trashy YA fantasy with maybe a little bit of romance. I got what I wanted. Okay, there wasn't really any romance in this, but it was so fun. We are following a young man called Owen, and he is a ranger's apprentice, so he's working under the ranger, and the rangers are tasked with like protecting the realm. I think the reason why I immediately connected to his story and book in general was because growing up I was obsessed with the Ranger's Apprentice series by John Flanagan, and it just reminded me of that. I just immediately had a lot of sentimental value, even though I'd never read this book before. And then the other character we're following is a young female. I think she's like 16. I think they're both 16, and her name is Zara, and she's a mage, or she's training to become a mage. So we start off and she's at this school learning how to do a magey magic, I guess. At the very beginning of this book, there are mysterious murders happening, and both of them end up with their mentors kind of being tasked to investigate the murders. I won't go too much into the plot because it's a very basic, simple plot. I recommend that you don't read the blurb, because I read the blurb afterwards. It kind of tells you the entire story. I really enjoyed this. I don't know what I'm going to give it. Like, I'm tempted to give it 4 stars, but I know if I read this at another time when it wasn't a book I was in the mood for, I would give it more of a 3 stars, but like enjoyment level was like a high 4. Should I just go for 4 stars, or should I go for 3.5? You know, I'm gonna give it a 3.75. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's nothing new. It is predictable. Yeah, characters were pretty stereotypical, but it was just fun, and it was what I needed. So, having completed Ranger's Oath, I've now completed 4 of my OWLS, which is incredible. I'm gonna end the vlog here, but please let me know how your OWLS is going. I'm really happy with my progress so far, but I hope you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I'll see you next time. Bye!